The Woman in Yellow, Part 1. I was only about 20 years old when I got married in 1940. Not very long after the marriage, I moved into my husband's rented home in Insane, Yangon. It wasn't very crowded back then, so Insane was almost like a village. The house we lived in was a 2-story wooden house. We lived upstairs and the landlady's family lived downstairs. We were invited for tea by the landlady on the day we arrived. We had tea and tea leaf salad, and overall, we had a very nice conversation with the family for quite some time. The owners were just the two of them, the old mother and her daughter. The old lady explained that she used to have another daughter, but unfortunately she passed away during childbirth about 3 years ago. After a very long conversation, we finally went back upstairs and noticed that it was quite dark already. Next morning, I felt nauseous and feverish because of the tea and tea leaf salad I had the day before. That day, the landlady's daughter brought me lunch and stayed with me while my husband went to work. Even after resting the whole day, I didn't feel better and was very unwell when my husband came back in the evening. The fever kept rising with time, and sometimes I would even lose consciousness. And when I do, I could see a woman who was wearing all yellow with her hair down, standing still with her back at me. The fact that I could only see her back and not her face was very frightening. My husband called for a doctor since I wasn't getting well, but my sickness didn't improve and I kept getting high fevers and convulsions at night. The woman in yellow was always there every time I lost consciousness. On the second day, my husband was very worried and he took a day off from work. He stayed at home to take care of me. Something strange about my illness is that nothing seems to be wrong with me until the fever comes round again and I lose consciousness and I black out. I was having mood swings and it felt like someone was watching me all the time. I didn't tell my husband about the woman in yellow because I thought I was overthinking about a normal dream. The doctor didn't see anything unusual, so he only prescribed a few pills for my fever and advised me to stay warm and eat healthily. That afternoon, when my husband wasn't around, something unusual happened. I was dozing off in my bed when I heard someone enter the room. I didn't open my eyes to see who it was because I thought it was just my husband. The footsteps dropped beside my bed. A moment later, I felt a cold hand grab my foot. I screamed and sat up, but no one was there. I didn't realize then that all of it was just the beginning of something sinister. The fever wasn't high the whole day now, probably because of the pills that the doctor gave me. But I still had rises of temperature when the evening comes, and then I would lose consciousness. And the woman in yellow, with each time I saw her, I noticed that she was getting closer. However, still my husband and I thought that this was just an ordinary fever. Sometimes I saw a shadow lurking outside. I would ask my husband to go and see, but he never saw anything or anyone. He thought I was having feverish dreams. On the second night, what's more strange is that we started hearing footsteps on the roof. That night, I got up from bed to take the pills and happened to look across the street from the window. And there she was. Under the lamppost was the same woman in yellow from my dreams, standing with her back at me. I called out to my husband to quickly come and see, but then the woman had already vanished. I was confused and taken aback by what I saw. Just then, without any blowing wind, the door slammed shut. The Woman in Yellow, Part 2. I fell asleep after taking the pills until about 4 in the morning when I woke up because I wanted to go to the toilet. The sound of footsteps from the roof could still be heard. I glanced at my husband. He was soundly asleep because I woke him up earlier that night. Since the toilet was on the same floor, I didn't bother waking up my husband. I got up from my bed and went by myself. Normally, I wasn't afraid of many things, but hearing the footsteps from above kept me on my toes while I traversed the dark hallway. I glanced outside from the window nearby once I got to the bathroom. The main road at the front can't be seen, but I could see the narrow passageway at the side. I looked around as I thought I would see the woman in yellow again. However, there was no one standing in the dark lane. So I opened the door to the toilet. The woman in yellow came out backwards. Panicked, I put my arms up, keeping my eyes closed, and prayed to God. When I opened my eyes again, the woman in yellow was already gone. I ran to wake my husband quickly. I explained everything to my husband, who was still half asleep, but he didn't seem to take me seriously. He didn't believe me and thought that I was only seeing things because of my high fever. So he only replied, "We'll do something about it tomorrow morning," and then went to check the toilet. He came back a while later and then told me that he had checked everywhere and saw no one. Surprisingly, the sounds of the footsteps from the roof had stopped as well. Neither of us could fall asleep till the morning came. We were very tired because of the lack of sleep the previous night. As we were having breakfast, I was retelling my husband about what happened the night before, when someone knocked on the front door. We were quite surprised as we didn't expect any guests at such an early morning, and we looked at each other wondering who it was. My husband went for the door and opened it. There was an old man standing at our doorstep. My first thought was that the old man was some kind of vagrant. My husband politely asked the old man, "Can I help you, sir?" The old man calmly replies, "I'm not here to ask for money or food," and continued, "When I was passing by, I felt a great deal of negative energy from your house. That is why I am here." He then looked into my eyes and asked, "Are you well, my dear?" And before I could answer, he continued, "The woman behind you is the one who's been making you sick." I glanced behind when he said that. Not only me, but also my husband seemed to be astonished by what the old man had said. Before the revelation, my husband only thought my visions were because of a high fever. But now that he knew that this was something unnatural, he seemed very worried about me. The old man proceeded to explain that someone with bad intentions did this to me with a concoction. It surprised us again. The old man asked, "Do you accept what I just said?" We both nodded in agreement. That's when the old man took out a small vial out of his bag and gave me 3 little pills. When you take these 3 pills, the dark magic infested within you will be cured. He then gave me a charm to protect me from further curses. If someone tries to harm you again, this charm will reflect the harm upon the caster, the old man told me. After I took the pills he gave me, I finally recovered and never saw the woman in yellow again. And not very long after that, something strange happened. Following my recovery, the old landlady's daughter passed away unexpectedly. No one knew the cause of her death. Shortly afterwards, we moved out and never knew what happened to the old woman after that. Over time. This story happened to me at the office I used to work at, but I've never told anyone because I thought no one would believe me. It happened like this. Most of the time we didn't have to work at nights. But that day I stayed for an important meeting while my colleagues went home. I was there alone in the meeting room waiting for the video conference with my laptop open. The meeting room was just in front of the lift and there were no other room nearby. And it was somewhat like a secluded place. There were no windows and there was only one door. As I waited, I decided to finish up some of my work. Just then, someone sent me hi from a chat application on my phone. I was a bit confused because it wasn't an app that I recognized. Normally, I wouldn't have bothered to reply, but I was getting bored from waiting alone. So I sent back hi. A reply came at once. "Are you bored?" it said. I thought someone from the office was messing with me. "Why would I be bored?" I texted back. And they replied, "I don't know, I thought it would be boring to be sitting alone at night." In my mind, I was very sure that they were one of my colleagues. So I said, "Nope, I'm having a great time with donuts and a cup of coffee." They didn't reply at once this time, but a while later, "There's no coffee or donut on the table, there's only a laptop." When I saw the text, I quickly searched all over the room to see if someone's been hiding. But there was no one in the room besides me. Another text came. "Don't go looking for me, you won't find me." I immediately tapped back. "If I can't see you, then you can't see me either." "I can see you," they replied. "If so, what am I doing right now?" I wrote as I raised my arm. "You raised your right arm and you're looking for me." My heart almost stopped. I started freaking out because even though they could see what I was doing, I couldn't find them. "Who are you?" I asked. "Even if I told you, you wouldn't know me," they replied. "I won't talk to you without knowing who you are," I angrily said. They stopped texting back for quite some time, so I put my phone down. A text came. Do you want to know who I am? If you do, put your leg forward. Unconsciously, I put my leg forward and I felt something with my toes. Startled, I crouched down to see. It was just a bag. But when I sat up, a man with a face so pale he looks like a corpse was standing behind my laptop.